Yeah.
All right. You all set?
Yep.
All right, stand by. A busy night and a busy week of weather as we're looking at strong winds and severe weather moving through parts of the Northeast and Mid Atlantic states. So we've got winter weather up in the Northwest, and we have the chance that there could be some wet snow on Wednesday. And we have the likelihood of seeing a rather strong storm forming in the east for the weekend. That's going to bring some fierce wind action. So March is starting to live up to its reputation. Last week was not March. This week was March, and we'll have all of that and more as we take a look at tonight's severe weather on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. They're making the transition now from winter stuff to spring stuff. So if you still need some winter stuff, they've got it. And if you're thinking about spring and maybe starting to get your yard cleaned up and ready to look beautiful with uh, landscaping and so on, topsoil, they've got decorative stone, whatever you need. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631 756 1125. That is the telephone number. And the website is,
Omni True Value. Excuse me. OmniTrueValue.com.
you say that with
Now,
such power, such
conviction.
conviction. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we've got a lot of severe weather going on this evening and tonight, front and center. Uh, we had last week was so eerily quiet. We were sitting here last Sunday and Monday, struggling to kind of fill a half hour worth of weather just all over the country. And now this week, all of a sudden, we've got. I think we have something for everybody. I kept thinking of the What's Opera Doc cartoon, Joe, where Elmer Fudd runs to the top of the mountain and he's calling up all the powers and he's naming all this weather phenomena and he finishes off with smog. We've got just about everything except for hurricanes. We've got all everything going on this week.
Yeah, and the first thing on the menu tonight is we're watching one of the more skinny squall lines that we have seen in recent days approach from the west, and it looks like, Joe, that that's going to be moving through parts of the tri-state area, most likely between about 8 and 10 o'clock tonight. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 11 p.m. tonight, as the Storm Prediction Center monitors the approach of that narrow squall line associated with a cold front. And the cold front is going to put a very quick end to the balmy conditions of the last couple of days. Today, temperatures in New York City reached into the middle 70s. Yesterday, numerous record high temperatures, including right here in Westchester County at White Plains, reaching a record high, smashing the old record by a good 5 degrees. All of that goes away after that cold front moves through tonight. Winds quickly shift into the northwest. They could gust upwards to over 40 miles per hour. There are wind advisories posted for that. And again, we're monitoring the approach of that very narrow, that very skinny squall line, which will be moving through from west to east, beginning, I think, around 8 o'clock this evening.
One, two, they're coming up quick. One, two, three, four, five, six. We have six severe thunderstorm warnings that are up at the moment, stretching from New York, New York State, from I-90 west of Albany down to about Binghamton, and then running south of there, west of Scranton to Harrisburg, and over into west central Maryland, where the most recent severe thunderstorm warning has popped up. And we also have some showers and storms down into Virginia, North Carolina, central Georgia, and south central Georgia. I had some thunderstorms here this afternoon, late this afternoon. They really didn't amount to much. And in fact, I was thinking about how we'd be doing the who's going to get to 70 first, who's going to get to 80 first, who's going to, so on. I think I don't remember if I had a severe thunderstorm watch any time in the last 2 months, but certainly if you want to count this as the spring season, Joe, you beat me to a severe thunderstorm watch up your way.
Yeah,
Because it's pretty early to see severe weather watches up in this area. But you know what? That's what we got.
actually, to tell you the truth, Joe, I think we've had already a few of these in here in the tri-state area. I'm trying to
Yes,
see. Hang on for a
trying to
second.
remember.
I'm trying to remember too. Yeah, we had no, we didn't. I was getting confused with a winter weather advisory. I do believe we've had at least a couple severe weather events since the start of this year, and this is yet another that we're going to be watching. This one does not look like one that could produce, let's say, tornadic activity or hail. A lot of this is low top convection. There may not even be very much in the way of lightning with this, but it's going to move rapidly on through in the next few hours. And after that, again, we're looking at a sweep of gusty winds from the northwest, ushering in a much chillier, a much colder airflow for tomorrow and for Wednesday. Of course, Wednesday now, we've got to also include the possibility of some snow. And from what I can see, this looks like one of those scenarios where more likely it's going to be on colder surfaces such as grass and tree limbs and car tops, and less likely on paved surfaces, especially since this time around the snow that we're anticipating for Wednesday comes during the daylight hours. That higher angle of the sun, the infrared and ultraviolet radiation interacting with the pavement, again, lowering the odds that we're going to see any significant accumulation on any kind of paved surface. It would be a different story if this were all expected, let's say, Tuesday night under the cover of darkness. But I think we're going to be looking at mostly a wet snow, and again, snow that really is going to stick mostly to colder surfaces as opposed to the warmer paved surfaces.
Agreed. I've got a full Tornado HQ has a now live updating radar. I don't have to hit the refresh button. And I brought it up full screen. I was just, while you were talking, Joe, I was bringing up the show on my phone, seeing the very active chat board. And it's good to see everybody on board tonight. So if you got any questions or comments, pass them along because Joe Rayo will be monitoring the chat board with his usual vigor. And if you're new to the Joe and Joe Weather Show, welcome aboard. We're on Sundays at 11 a.m., Monday through Thursday at 7:30. We're usually off Fridays and Saturdays, unless we have a storm going, which we might. Who knows? We may wind up being here at the end of the week. So just roll in those questions and comments and just play nice in the sandbox. That's all that I ask. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like we're up to 9 severe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 severe thunderstorm warnings that are up at the moment. And they looks like that squall line is now it's west of Albany. It has moved through Binghamton. It's just outside of Scranton. To the west of Allentown by a handful of miles, right over Harrisburg, approaching York and Lancaster in Pennsylvania, and down into Frederick, Maryland, north and west of Baltimore. That's where the southern end of the line ends. And just north of where the warning is, you can see that there's still some cells that go up north of Albany, up the Northway, but the more intense cells are to the south of there. There's a little bit of a break between Binghamton and Scranton, and then the cells pick up in intensity again as you go south of there. When I say a break, I mean it looks like the intensity of the cells is a bit less between Binghamton and Scranton, and then they pick up again between Scranton and Allentown, and then that just sort of snakes its way on southward from there. We also, by the way, do have some stray showers and downpours that have moved into Connecticut and southern Massachusetts, also seeing some precip over into parts of New Hampshire and Maine. That also off the New Jersey coast, seeing some showers, and you can see the thunderstorms that go further south down through the Carolinas and into Georgia. And there's a line in Georgia is now south of Macon, approaching Albany, and moving southeastward. Before too long, it'll be over into Savannah and to near Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, and eventually impacting areas around Charleston in South Carolina. So busy, busy radar here, and there are, just give it one more look up here as they map updates. Yeah, these are going to move on through, and the watch does not extend into southern New England or into Long Island. This time of year, as anybody who lives on Long Island knows, trying to get a thunderstorm to survive the hefty tolls on the George Washington Bridge from New Jersey to Manhattan, and then and then the tolls from there to get into Brooklyn and Queens. Well, it hits the south wind, and I noticed today, Joe, that New York City was well up into the 70s, while a lot of areas of Long Island were still struggling in the 50s, and the same goes across Connecticut and much of southern New England. Those temperatures are actually going to rise a little bit as this line approaches, because the wind bends a bit, and then the line will go by, and then weather conditions should improve after that.
Agreed. And I think the highest temperature I saw for Central Park today at Belvedere Castle, which is where I was just a couple of weeks ago, I think they got to 76 today, and that's pretty good. I think they tied a record.
Yes, I believe they did.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. New York City Central Park, max 74. So they didn't get to 76. They did get to 74. Still pretty darn good. I only got to 66 here at Putnam Valley at the home base here today. It feels real nice to be able to step outside without a jacket. And that will quickly go away once this front goes on by, probably sometime in the next few hours. The weather front, the cold front, seems to be really aligned right with that narrow squall line. So once the squall line moves through, I fully anticipate that the temperatures are going to take a precipitous drop downward in the hours beyond that. So enjoy the warmth while it's still around. And yeah, sometimes just before the cold front gets here, just before the temperatures may actually bump up a little bit. We actually saw that last night. We actually saw temperatures, I think, last night at Central Park bump up, a degree or two. Not because of an approaching front, but just simply because, my goodness, this air mass is so very mild. It was milder last night at 11 o'clock, I think, than it was during the mid and late afternoon hours. So, Again, hope you're enjoying all of this.
There's your low. Now, this was at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So this is the last updated surface map from WPC, with a low sitting between Buffalo and Rochester, and you see the trailing cold front. But more importantly, the warm front is moved pretty far to the north from where it was this morning at 10 o'clock, when it was cutting across Long Island Sound and cutting across northern Pennsylvania. Now that it's pushed up northward, still has that little hairpin to it where it bends down into, you see where it takes that southern turn toward the New Jersey, New York State, Pennsylvania line, and then lifts up northeastward as a stationary front that they have it drawn from Danbury in Connecticut, north of Hartford, to about Boston. So the problem, of course, for those of you who don't live in Long Island or southern New England in the springtime, is that, especially in coastal southern New England and Long Island, is that the south wind, any kind of wind that has an ocean component to it, goes over it's a rather cold ocean. Ocean water temperatures are in the low 40s, and that wind off the water brings in a marine. Sometimes it'll bring in a marine layer, but it brings in enough cool marine air that it stabilizes the atmosphere. So if you're just west of there, you could easily see the temperatures. And as we get deeper in the spring, we'll have days where temperatures will be in the 70s and 80s in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. in the Hudson Valley to about New York City, but then you go to the east and you got temperatures that are down in the 50s. So it's a notorious thunderstorm killer. That's why the severe thunderstorm watch cuts off the way it does. And that cold front, by the way, runs down through the Appalachians. It's through me because skies are clear outside as I just took my dog for a walk, and then extends down into southern Louisiana. Here's what it looks like on the satellite loop tonight, and you can kind of pick out the bright white clouds that are moving across Pennsylvania. They don't really stand out that well. It looks like the clouds that are to the northeast of there look a little more impressive than what's going on in PA, but that might still strengthen a little bit until it gets into that marine layer. We also have, by the way, the beginnings of moisture down in the Gulf of Mexico, in the western Gulf, and that's going to be part of our weather system for Wednesday. Otherwise, it's dry in the northern plains. SPC, by the way, Joe, has a mesoscale discussion for a snow squall warning in Montana. Okay. So I just thought I'd bring that up because we don't see, they do this, and they'll do it for snowstorms. You'll see heavy snow discussions out of this.
Well, we've been there and done that, Joe. The snow squall that came on through a couple of Saturdays ago, Storm Prediction Center had a snow squall alert for us, warning the tri-state area. And sure enough, they came in the mid-afternoon that Saturday. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but they do more than just simply outline areas for thunderstorms. It is after all called the Storm Prediction Center, and if they're anticipating anything significant in terms of a storm, that could deliver snow, they'll mention it or they'll put it out at the SPC.
I'm overmodulating. I know. I'm checking it right now. I don't know why. It's the settings.
Sound like
the settings are the same.
When you take a deep breath, it sounds in a way like 2001: A Space Odyssey. You remember that part when he's out there trying to get back into the spacecraft, and I'm sorry, Dave, and you hear Dave going.
Well, how does it sound now?
It sounds better.
Okay.
You sound much better.
Okay.
Much better.
I tilted the mic.
Could you allow me to show folks something? The
yes,
radar from.
Yes, please do.
From Captain Binghamton.
Just a moment, please. Let me get the. Okay, got to do that. There's always a few buttons I got to push here. So hopefully it sounds a bit better. I'm try to keep the mic in one spot, but if I take it off and put it down on the table and then pick it up later, it might move a little. So hopefully that's good now. You should be good to go.
Oh, very good. Well, then here we go. And here is, I thought I'd show this. Binghamton is the only one really that gives you a good idea of when I say a skinny squall line, this is it. It hasn't really entered the realm of the New York City area yet, except maybe in the far northwest corner of the screen. But Binghamton, it passed Binghamton. Here's Binghamton right here. And you could see this long, skinny area of red. And that indeed is the line of showers and storms, which in all likelihood will probably arrive in and around the vicinity of western sections of Orange County within the next, I'd say, half hour. And then it will begin its march across the Hudson Valley from west to east, and probably will arrive in my area sometime between 9 and 10 o'clock. And then once it moves across into Connecticut and begins to interact with that much cooler air zone, that's when we'll probably see the squall line completely either dissipate or break apart or diminish rapidly. But you can see it's a fast moving, pretty good, concentrated line, and it is again moving in the direction of the tri-state area. So batten down. Not going to last very long, but when it's here, it may cause a bit of problem. It looks like, again, the main threat from this is going to be damaging winds, possible damaging winds, and also some heavy downpours. No likelihood, it would appear, because of the rapid motion, no chance of any funnel or tornado activity. And does not appear, with temperatures so very mild today, that we'll have to worry about hail in this particular setup.
No.
So just damaging winds, gusty winds, some downpours, and that'll be it in the next few hours.
So the Storm Prediction Center has for tonight. Now they've actually updated this because they had all of the southeast, a lot of the southeast in a slight risk, and that's all gone now. So you're left with the slight risk now in the areas where we have the severe thunderstorm watch. So if you look at that slight risk, that's pretty much outlines the severe thunderstorm watches that are up, and it was only one, or soon to be only one, because there's one in Pennsylvania is it's either already expired or the easternmost flank of that is about to expire. But now we have this area left, and you see the marginal risk that kind of envelops it. I think it's envelops and around it, and that goes into southern New England. I suppose that there could be a stray cell that survives, especially the further north you go away from the coast. The thunderstorms will likely weaken, but if you hear a bang of thunder and see a little bit of lightning, don't be too surprised. Now, over the next couple of days, let's take a look at what they have with regards to the risk zone. There probably shouldn't be much of one tomorrow. Just a small area in southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, just touching the westernmost part of the Florida Panhandle. On day 3, I'm thinking probably very little in the way of severe weather. And yeah, there's no severe weather being indicated, but a chance for thunderstorms in the southeast and in the Gulf states down to Florida. That might change a little bit, but I would think that at worst you'd probably see as maybe a small area of marginal risk added. And on the day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8. So day 5 and 6 are the ones I probably would want to focus on, because that takes us into the weekend, and they have the predictability too low. So that tells you that something is possible, but we're not able to figure out yet where and to what extent. When it says potential too low, that pretty much means what it says. Potential is just too low. So we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of, I'll leave that up, Tornado HQ, and we'll come back to it. And let's take a look at what going after this is all done. The 7-day WPC, this was issued this morning, so let's get this freshened up a little bit and see if they've got an update. And they do. This is the 7-day rainfall forecast, which takes us to next Monday night. And we are seeing some pretty heavy rains in southern Georgia, some 3 and 4 inch amounts being indicated and extending into the Florida Panhandle, and a fairly large area of 2.5 inches or more from Florida northeast through the southern half of Georgia into South Carolina, and upwards of up to 1.5 inches reaching into southernmost New Jersey and covering Delaware, the Delmarva Peninsula, Virginia, most of Virginia except the northwest, and then continuing south and west of there through the Appalachians to North Georgia. I think I'm in a 2.5 inch zone there over the next 7 days. So a lot different than what we were looking at last week, folks. And then out west in the Rockies, you're up and down the Rockies, you're seeing pockets of 0.5 inch to 1 inch of liquid equivalent, and much of that will be in the form of snow. Even higher as you get up into Idaho, and in the northwest, Washington State into coastal Washington and coastal Oregon, showing some big amounts there of several inches or more as energy continues to roll into the northwest. Joe, you should have a breaking bulletin, because we have super chat hits, or one super chat hit.
Yes, indeed. Leon Probitsky hitting super chats tonight. A rather interesting icon of 2 hands, one hand of a different shade or different color, I guess, to indicate friendship. And
it's friendship. Just the perfect blendship. All right, go on.
So
I'm sorry.
anyway, no, Leon, thank you very much for hitting super chat tonight. I was going to ask you, Joe, with 2.5 inches of rain in the forecast for your area, do you have a raincoat for your dog?
No, I don't. But I have so
Oh,
many
okay.
I have so many trees here, and I have my big Joe Stradamus umbrella, my Gustbuster umbrella that uh, but I seldom get wet, and I always wait for the times when the rain lets up, and the trees are fairly dense, so it could be pouring, but not a lot of that water makes it through that canopy down to the ground, particularly once there's leaves up there. It could be pouring rain,
Hmm.
but you're not getting soaking wet as you go out there. So, listen, I can't get his harness on because he gets so excited about going out that he makes putting his harness on a chore. I can't imagine what he would be like if I had to get him put a raincoat on him.
Okay. Well, I had a rain. Whenever we had rain, I'd always have to put the rain jacket on my Yorkie, and I said to myself, I know people put sweaters, and in cold weather they cover the dog up, but I'm just wondering how many people actually put a rain jacket or a raincoat on their furry little friend, and I was just wondering if that's what you did. But
Yeah, no,
you're right.
I'm not
Be-
doing
be-
that.
between the trees, between the trees and the Jostajamus umbrella, you really don't need one.
No, I don't. Okay, WPC. You were talking about the wet snow for Wednesday. So the warm ground people should be on alert because this is one of those rare times in the last couple of years for all the times that the warm ground was thrown as an excuse for not going for accumulation or reducing accumulation amounts. I think this may be the first time that I'm actually saying this. It may actually work this time around. I think you're right. One of the big features with this, with respect to that, the warmer ground, is the fact that we're not below. Obviously, was very warm today. Okay, we're not going to go below freezing tonight. We're not going to go below freezing during the day tomorrow, and even tomorrow night will probably stay above freezing until precipitation arrives sometime early Thursday morning in some places like southern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and Maryland. It could very well be in the mid 30s, and then you'll need the snow intensity to bring the temperature down. And Joe, you're absolutely right. I think uh, there might be enough liquid precip to produce several inches or more. In fact, the NAM was producing like 6 to 8 inch amounts over parts of New Jersey and points west. But I honestly, I I don't see how that's going to stick on paved surfaces, and even on colder surfaces, it's going to have a tough time for a while.
Well, first of all, it's going to be the flakes are going to be very big, as is always the case. But the one thing that I did notice on the Foos, Joe, the NAM Foos, and now on the 18Z Foos, but it also showed up on the 12Z as well. 48 hours. That's the 2 p.m. and we'll be into the snow on Wednesday by that time. The T1 boundary level temperature at LaGuardia is 0.
Yes.
That would suggest that it's certainly cold enough, even at the lower levels, for snow. But what strikes me interesting there is that at the same time, at 2 p.m., excuse me, 1 p.m., I'm jumping the gun because it will be 2 p.m. after this weekend when we go back on standard, we'll go back on daylight time. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., you get the idea. On Wednesday, at Albany, the T1 boundary level temperature is +1. It's actually 1 degree Celsius warmer than down at LaGuardia Airport. And so that gives you an idea
we're
that
in the spring. That's what happens.
we're into the spring, very marginal cold air. And when you have these kind of marginal setups, marginal situations, I mean, you'd anticipate, if it's 0 at LaGuardia, it's probably like -2 or -4, something like that at Albany. No, it's actually a tad milder up in Albany. So what we're going to have, I think, on Wednesday, we'll see snow, and the snow will be big flakes, and it may come down with some intensity. But the problem again is it comes during the daytime. The sun is higher up now, interacts with your paved surfaces, especially the blacktop, which is going to help to preclude the accumulations from occurring very much on those surfaces. And you're right, even on colder surfaces, it may be a tough go as well.
Yeah.
In this pattern, because again, it's a marginally cold air mass.
Right, and this time of year, a lot of times when snow falls like this, you see sun dimly visible at certain points. If you don't get the intent, that's the one caveat is if you don't get intensity, then it's going to be very difficult to accumulate. If you get intensity, and by intensity I mean it's snowing at the rate of say 3/4 of an inch or an inch an hour, that'll compensate, and that'll actually would cool down the bottom of the atmosphere by a critical degree. So you have to watch out for that possibility. If depending on if you looked at the NAM, for example, at the 12Z run, Joe, it was producing some areas getting over an inch of liquid. Now, if that were to verify, you could make a case for, well, you know what, that's telling you that there might be some intensity to the snow. I think it's a little overdone, and I don't want to go down that particular road anyway. Not in this case because of the lack of cold air. But I think it's going to have a real tough time. If this were Wednesday night, or as Joe mentioned earlier, if this were Tuesday night, it would be we'd be talking a different ball game here. But a WPC on their latest forecast is the probability of at least 2 inches. They actually have the brown is 1%. Okay, so 1% into Western Long Island. Into Rhode Island, southeastern Connecticut, down the Turnpike in New Jersey, southeastern PA, higher amounts in northwest New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania. You start to get into some 40 to 50% probabilities. But you know what? This whole area is going to be fighting the same problem in terms of intensity. So this is also, Joe, a time of year where elevation comes into play. And I just, I mentioned on my forecast write-up, which you can find on the community page on YouTube, I'm putting up links to my forecast on my website and other things. So if you check that out, just go to the community section of YouTube on my YouTube channel, and you can see the posts that were put up earlier today and read my thinking on this. I was thinking, Joe, that in areas where the elevation was say above 1,000 feet. Might be even down to 500 feet, but I just kind of said 1,000. If you're 1,000 feet or up, if you're in the land of Chuck Cardillo, if you're in northeastern PA, in the Poconos, or in southwest PA, those areas could wind up picking up. That's where you probably would see paved surfaces get accumulation, in my opinion.
And Johnny Quest does bring up a good point. He says, Joe Rayo and Joe Chiaffi, watch the bridges and overpasses in spite of everything, because they usually tend to be a little slick and slippery. And incidentally, Joe, when you go over a drawbridge, the so-called bascule drawbridges, the ones with the 2 leaves that are raised for marine traffic.
Yes.
You know that when you go over those kind of bridges, you hear the because you're going over a metal grating.
Right.
You're not going over solid. Now, did you ever think why they do that? Why that is for drawbridges?
You know what? I never thought to ask that question.
Well, think about this. Let's say we're in a big snowstorm, right? A heavy snowstorm, and you've got like 3, 4, 5, even 6 inches of snow accumulating on the roadways, and they're doing their best, of course, to clear away all that snow. But let's say now in this situation that there was a drawbridge without that grating. It goes up and down, but it goes up and down without that metal grating. And then all of a sudden, a ship comes along and says, "Hey, you got to raise the bridge because I got to get through." What do you think is going to happen if there's 4, 5, or 6 inches on that draw span as it comes into an open position? So it has to have that grating so the snow falls through the grating and does not accumulate on the part of the drawbridge that is going to go up and down. Otherwise, the drawbridge goes up. Where does all that snow go? Right?
Well,
that makes some sense.
I'm going to tell you, the Willis Avenue and 3rd Avenue bridges, which were completely redone, okay?
Right.
Those bridges, they don't have that grating anymore on the bottom. They just have concrete. Or what looks like concrete. Yeah.
I have not been over either bridge
Yeah, they don't have
since
that. They don't have
since.
that grading that when you drive over it goes ooh.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
they don't have it anymore on those bridges. So maybe
So that means that
maybe it's snow-proof concrete where the snow doesn't stick to it. I don't know.
I don't know either. But I mean, if you have a heavy amount of snow or slush or ice on those bridges, if what you say is true, when they have to start turning those bridges, those are turntable bridges.
No,
I would suspect the motor.
these lift. These lift up
No,
this way. The Willis doesn't.
no.
Oh, you're right.
The Willis Avenue
I'm sorry.
turn.
The Willis Avenue turns and the Third Avenue Bridge turns. Yes, they're turntable ones. Right.
Yeah. So could you imagine the motor on those bridges? Oh!
Exactly. All right.
Oh,
Let's do a little bit of modeling, shall we? Shall we do some modeling?
yes,
Okay. So
yes.
you know what? I blew this up to be even bigger, but the problem is then I can't move the map so much. Let me take it down one notch. Okay, let's see how that works. All right, we'll try it this way. So I've got the GFS up. And now let me put the map on the screen so that everybody can see. And we could take a look.
Christiapedia is very excited. Christiapedia is very excited because Latex Dreams apparently has made a return to the chat board.
Tim is back. Oh boy. Okay. He hasn't been around lately. Welcome back, Timothy.
Tim.
So here's the GFS, and then we're going to look at the upper air with this. This is our front for tonight. That goes by. And of course, as Joe mentioned, we don't really have a whole lot of cold air around it, but we got a nice high in that to start off with that actually kind of weakens as we move through the day tomorrow. And then we also have a low that's moving across southern Canada at the same time, but they're kind of in two separate places. A high now there's a high off the Jersey coast Wednesday at 1 a.m. But if you look at the isobar, maybe if I switch back to I love these radar maps, but the problem is the isobars are so lightly drawn. I wish they were drawn just a smidge better. A smidge darker, I should say. But
right.
I can't complain too much. So I'll go to the other side, and this will show you the actual amount of precip that falls. It's not the radar, but you can see the isobars here. It builds back up into upstate New York and Vermont, so that kind of holds a little bit of what little cold air you have. There's your low Wednesday in northeast Georgia. A little bit of higher pressures up in New England, but not much. This is Wednesday morning. Then the low is off the North Carolina coast by Wednesday afternoon, moving like pretty quickly there from Georgia to well off the North Carolina coast Thursday afternoon. And the GFS is probably having difficulty figuring out what's rain and what's snow. I think we're so borderline. If you get the intensity, places that it shows rain will probably wind up being more wet snow than anything else. But again, I don't expect it to amount to very much. And then it goes on out to the northeast Wednesday night. We get rid of that. Turns a little colder for Thursday and Friday. Now we're setting up for Saturday. And Friday afternoon, you'll notice that there's lower pressures north of Lake Superior. You've got energy that's in the southeast. You also have energy that's back through Texas. And all of this is going to get together into one powerhouse of a storm system. By Saturday morning, the GFS has a low in southwest PA, and suddenly it's in eastern PA, a 977 low. I got to tell you, Joe, I'm pretty impressed with the gradient with this, particularly once the low goes by. It's a little slower on the GFS today by about 6 hours. We'll see if that's going to be true or not. And then, of course, the low is up in southern New Hampshire by 7 p.m. Sunday. A 65 low? But look at that gradient. I mean, we're going to blow away here. It's going to be windy ahead of it, but it's going to be really windy behind it. And the one thing, and you're not going to know this until we get a little closer. And the European was kind of giving me this idea that I was thinking maybe, especially north and west of New York City, I think there's a chance that you could see a changeover to snow before it ends. But the big story to me here, Joe, is going to be the wind. I think we're going to probably be in a situation where we're going to have widespread wind advisories and high wind warnings up for later Saturday night into early Sunday.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, the gradient is tremendous. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm looking at like 12 isobars across the state of Pennsylvania. And consider, of course, that each isobar, it's graded on on 2 millibars apiece. So you're looking at from Western Pennsylvania to Eastern Pennsylvania. You're looking at a change of 24 millibars, and that's pretty damn good. So I would agree that's going to be a really roaring wind coming in, not just again ahead of it, but also behind. And of course, behind with the colder air, that'll make for who knows, upstate New York, we may see wind chill advisories posted because it is going to feel rather difficult to be outside, I think, come Saturday night and on into part of Sunday.
You're also probably going to see well up into upstate New York. Now, when we get closer, I might feel stronger about this, but you're definitely going to wind up seeing winter storm warnings up there. I also think, by the way, for those of you in westernmost North Carolina, this is and even down to me in North Georgia, a lot of the models are showing a little bit of snow here early on Saturday. I kind of wish it would happen at night because then I know it might stick, and who knows, it might very well change over a bit faster if the GFS is wrong on the timing here. But you can see that the snow area in terms of precip extends all the way down into North Georgia, and there's some darker blue snows in the Western Carolina mountains. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see winter storm warnings, or at least winter weather advisories up for those parts of Western North Carolina and westernmost Virginia out of this. Again, purely speculating. But this is a pretty intense storm. The 965 low becomes a 949 low to the east of Caribou. This goes back to the European a few days ago that had a 940 low up there. But the gradient, the gradient is still pretty tight into Sunday morning, and then the winds start to slowly ease as we move into Sunday afternoon. But this is pretty impressive.
If I may say, as tight as the gradient looks on the surface map, the upper low, the shortwave, is actually going to be following behind the surface low by about 6 hours. And really, we may not see the worst of the winds here until after 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. I know, if you look at the map, you say, my God, look at that pressure gradient. Yeah, but I think that once we align the upper level winds with the surface winds out of the northwest, teleconnect, if you will, that will be when the winds are really going to rev up behind this system. And again, that would not be until after midnight. Not saying that it won't be windy during the day, Saturday and Saturday evening, but the full force of those winds probably will wait until after the upper level and the lower levels align themselves out of the northwest. And that'll probably come in the after midnight hours. And again, what I just said may be completely wrong too, because we're talking about an event that's going to happen, more than 5 days away, Joe. And so over the next 5 days, the timing of all of this and the overall alignment and everything else will have to become better. There'll be more adjustments to take place. So put that in the back of your mind, that the winds are certainly going to be a major feature of the weekend, and we'll have a better handle as to when, whether or not rain may change back to snow or whatever. That does look like a powerhouse storm coming through the Northeast for Friday into Saturday of this upcoming week.
The alignment of the trough is a little different on the models, and that's why I want to kind of look at this. So when you were talking about 1 or 2 a.m. on, it'd be 2 a.m. because we'll be on daylight saving time, that cursed thing that it is.
Daylight displacement time.
Right. So I had the upper air showing that this is what it looks like at 1 a.m. on Sunday. The trough and the upper low just kind of aligned there, right down through eastern New York, right through New York City and off the New Jersey coast. The GFS has this trough going neutral and as you said, it's a little bit. It hangs a little bit further west behind where the surface low is, and then it goes negatively tilted, which is that's the point you start to see that big explosion in the pressure where it drops down to a 940. The European was a little more interesting to me because of the fact that I'll bring up the European. Um, let's go to the EC fast because that'll have no, that's going to have the 18Z. I want the 12Z, so I want the regular European. So let's run back to the 12 because the 18Z only goes out to 90 hours, so it's not out far enough. But I noticed that the trough on the European is a little more progressive, uh, at least for a little while longer. You see the tilt there, Joe. It's more positively tilted, and it really doesn't get neutrally tilted until it's right along 80. And then it starts, instead of lifting up negative, it just sort of drags it along. It tries to lift it up negative, but the bottom of the trough is sort of kind of hanging back in the southeast. So uh, so when I looked at this and I looked at the surface, now unfortunately we don't have a snow. This is it's just showing total liquid, liquid equivalent precip here on this map. So this is not all rain that you're seeing west of the low. But I was intrigued a little bit by the fact that the surface low, Joe, is in western North Carolina and then in central Virginia, and then it's right on the Delaware coast by uh, by 10 a.m. on Saturday, and then of course it goes into the Gulf of Maine. But because of that positive tilt, it's got a little bit more of an eastward bias to it, and that's why I was thinking in my mind that there's a chance that that at least off the European that there could be a changeover to snow before it ends, particularly north and west of New York City and north and west of Philadelphia. And who knows? I mean, I don't know if it's done being progressive. It could very well be even a little bit further to the east. We'll see. Or perhaps it'll be a compromise between the two models. But both of them get to the same place, which is a fairly intense storm when it gets into eastern Canada and a very tight pressure gradient. So, look, we're going to get the wind either way, no matter what. But in terms of the details of what we're going to get as far as precip is concerned, that I think there's some fine details that'll still have to be worked out. It's also, by the way, you're going to see very cold air out of this being dragged down into the southeast and into Florida because that front goes all the way down, that trough goes all the way down. So this is a solid shot of cold air that's coming in, and then as fast it goes in, and by Monday afternoon it goes out. And you've got the next weak cold front that comes through early next week. European has things mostly quiet for next week. I think the GFS has it somewhat quiet for next week as well. So I don't know, Joe. It seems like we had a week off last week. We have a week on this week, and then we'll have a week off next week. But I'm going to be watching for this.
Alternating.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching in subsequent runs that orientation of the trough because that could make a difference in terms of precip type for some folks in the northeastern, interior northern mid-Atlantic, or even the interior mid-Atlantic going all the way down with regards to precipitation type at some point during this whole event.
Just for those of you who are wondering and scratching your head, 949 millibars is what the European is suggesting for this system off of Maine. And 949 millibars is equal to 28.02 inches of mercury. I don't even think any of you have an aneroid barometer that goes down that low, but that is a rather potent system, to say the least. And I want to thank Barry Goldberg on the chat board for alerting everybody at right now. There is a severe thunderstorm warning, Joe, warning for Passaic County in northeastern New Jersey, northwestern Essex County and northeastern New Jersey, and for Orange County in southeastern New York. That warning is until 9 p.m. Severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from near Downsville to Prompton to Beltsville State Park to near I don't even know where some of these places are to Burnville near Manheim. If you know where these are, you know where the line is. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts indicated by radar. Expect damage to trees and power lines, and the storms are expected to be near Cudbackville at 8:35 Otisville at 8:40.
Otisville, I know.
Middletown and Howells at 8:45. Walden and Montgomery, I know Montgomery at 8:55, and then Pompton Lakes and Bloomingdale. Well, I never go to Bloomingdale's. I usually go to Macy's at 9 o'clock. And so there'll probably be more warnings to come in the next hour or two. But that's where we are right now in terms of thunderstorm activity. And thanks again to Barry for alerting us to that.
Yes. Also, in the land of Timothy Veltman, or close to the land of Timothy Veltman, we have a severe thunderstorm. Wait a minute. What time is it? Okay, yeah, that's good. I was just thinking about daylight saving time, and I'm seeing 8:07, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's actually an hour old. No, 8:07. Severe thunderstorms located along and extending from near Altamont to near Livingstonville to near Margaretville. Now, Margaretville, I know. I don't know the other two. Moving east, Joe, 65 miles an hour. The momentum alone is going to be enough to produce wind gusts of 50.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's really what a lot of what this is. The narrow squall line is moving so quickly that the momentum of the movement of the line is going to cause some big winds. I did bring up, by the way, this is again Tornado HQ's live. If you go to tornadohq.com, there's a link on that homepage now. It's probably been there for a while. I just haven't been to the site for a while. But it's a live update, live radar. I think it updates every couple of minutes. You don't have to do any kind of refresh. It just does it automatically. So that might be something to put in your weather bookmarks for future use. And we use it a lot during a severe weather season here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Meanwhile, I just want to go back. I just kind of took a look at the Canadian. The Canadian probably is, sort of has something of what the European does, maybe a little bit of a compromise. But again, as you said, it's early, so I think there's probably going to be some more alignment going on with how this plays. And we could look at the icon, because we don't look at the icon too often. So since we have it here, let's look at the icon, and the icon goes out to the in-between run goes out 120 hours. The icon, Joe, believe it or not, I mean, it's got a low that goes off the coast, off of southern New Jersey, and is southeast of Montauk, as an 85 low on this run. But it's got most of the snow in the western half of PA and in upstate New York. I'll go back to the 12Z because that'll take us a little further. I just want to see how deep the low gets, or how intense the low gets in terms of the pressure. We'll look at the 12Z run. Oh, look at this.
Well, one thing that's impressive is that all the guidance models, the GFS and the Canadian and the European and the Icon, they all are headlining or red flagging a very robust storm. No two ways. I mean, not each one has the strength at its own particular level, but each one is saying, hey, watch it. There's going to be a major system in the northeastern part of the country.
Yes.
By the end of this week into the start of the weekend.
And the Icon's even slower than the GFS. Take a look at you should have it on the screen, Joe. It's got a 99 low in northern Alabama at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and it becomes an 85 low in southwestern Virginia by Saturday morning. Then it's in central West Virginia at 10 o'clock Saturday morning as a 979 low. And then it's a 74 low in northwestern Virginia, a 67 low near Harrisburg by 4 in the afternoon Saturday, and then a 960 low near Binghamton at 7 p.m. on Saturday. And then it really just gets down to a 954 northeast of Albany by 2 a.m. Sunday. And then it's a 53 low. Is that a 5 or a 6? I can't see. I think it's a 5. It's like a 53 low, not too far northwest of northernmost New Hampshire on the Canadian side. And then, of course, it goes on into New Brunswick, with the snow up in Maine and the St. Lawrence Valley and in New Brunswick, and then it pulls away to the northeast. But yeah, all the models have it. So we know there's going to be a major storm developing uh, late Friday night and Saturday. The fine details have yet to be determined. And I don't know if our friend that I'm sorry, I haven't seen him in a while. I forgot his name, but he's usually on looking for snow in northern Alabama. Well, if you believe the icon, you got snow in northern Alabama and northern Georgia. So I'm going to see some flakes out of this if this winds up materializing as advertised.
Jay's Boston, Massachusetts emergency response is number one. Thank you for hitting Super Chat. But number two, he's asking us, Joe, is Andover, Massachusetts? Will Andover see snow this weekend in that system? And I'm from what I'm looking at right now.
But they will see your
I'm willing to bet.
They will see your taxes because there's an IRS pricing office in Andover. It's where they go. But go on. I'm sorry.
I'm willing to bet that it is going to be a significant rain event and wind event, and again, depending upon the exact track and the speed of this system, there will probably be some snow, trailing behind or sweeping in behind the storm. Whether or not it'll be of any significance in terms of accumulation, or whether or not it'll be a long duration event after it goes over, still, these are things that need to be ironed out or ferreted out between now and Saturday of this weekend. So we'll see.
By the way, just for laughs, the European 12 and 18Z snow maps were about the same, and for what it's worth, it gave. Now, I don't think the models take into account warm surfaces. So 1.2 for Philly, just under an inch at Trenton, 0.7 of an inch at Toms River, 1.2 for Long Branch. New York City 2.9, Islip 3.6, Yonkers 3, Allentown 4, Bridgeport 3, Hartford 2, Boston 1.6, Albany 1.3, if you want to believe it. Poughkeepsie, there's a hole over Poughkeepsie, Joe, 0.7. But everybody around it gets about an inch or two. But again, who knows? This doesn't take into, doesn't always do elevation very well. These snow maps don't always do, take into account the warm surfaces and everything else. So for what it's worth, that's what the European gave for snow for Wednesday's little system.
Did you check Le Plumes? I have Le Plumes up on looking at it on my screen here, and I can see that for Wednesday system, they crank out 1.37 inches of snow for New York City.
Okay.
And I don't know how well they take into account cold surfaces versus warm surfaces. White Plains, what does White Plains have here? White Plains is 1.81, and Poughkeepsie, they have, a little bit more than the others, just under 1.73 inches.
Go down into New Jersey. Pull up a couple of spots in New Jersey. I'd be just kind of curious to see what they have.
Let's see Trenton. Trenton is 1 inch.
Okay.
Philadelphia has 0.94. Let's see here. What is that? CYN.
I think that's Vineland. It's in South Jersey.
It's like South Central Jersey.
Yeah,
CYN.
I think that's
anyway. CY.
I think that's Vineland. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
0.57.
Okay.
And Frantic City has. They were going like gangbusters. Now all of a sudden, 0.21 for snow on Wednesday. So
all right. So
they are.
If this were January or February, we probably would be, in a better. Maybe we wouldn't even be in a better place. It's no guarantee just because you're in the early part of the winter that it's necessarily going to be colder. You could have the exact same setup like this where it's barely cold enough in the winter months. So, anywho, let's do a little bit of Le Jeopardy de Brillar. as we have now hit WCBS news time is 8:30.
And we're still working on 100 likes. Come on now, folks. We're at 93 likes. Where are you, you 7 shy people? Go on and then hit that like button. And let's get to 100 here. We're not fooling around. We got severe weather tonight. We've got a little snow for Wednesday. We deserve at least 100 likes out of this.
Well, okay. Well, I won't argue with
Vineland is CYN, according to Tim Veltman, who knows all and says all. Vineland is CYN.
Okay, it is Vineland. Okay. All right, so tonight on...
I thought it was Cyrano.
Tonight on Briller Jeopardy, we have more of the category of classic television. 7 out of 10 to pass, Joe. Are you ready?
Yes. 105 likes. Thank you. You can all go home now.
This actress, comedian, I'll help you there, used this name. Used the name Diane Belmont early in her career.
Diane Belmont?
Diane Belmont.
Now, when you say that, does that mean that she actually ran at
No, she didn't.
Belmont?
No, she didn't.
All right. All right. So who could it possibly be? Let me ask a question. Is this a young or an old actress?
She's a dead actress.
Oh, she's dead?
She's a dead actress comedian.
Ah.
Known for her television, known for television. A television icon.
I have no clue who Diane Belmont.
Lucille Ball. Earlier in
You're kidding me.
Early in her career, in her modeling career, she went by the name of Diane Belmont. But her real
idea.
Her real name is Lucille Ball. It's not
yes.
Because a lot of times it's usually the other way around. The actresses
I thought it was
real name, they change it for Hollywood. This is the reverse. She changed her name.
I thought it was Lucille McGillicuddy.
No, her maiden name was Hunt.
Okay.
Hunt.
Right. And like the ketchup.
Right. And if you go to if you go up to Jamestown, New York, and visit the cemetery there, which I did, you could see it's all the Hunt family, including Lucille Ball, all buried there at that spot. Joe Maiano just sent me this, by the way. Just go back on the severe weather, Joe. A severe thunderstorm, a severe weather statement. I guess this was issued out of Albany. So this was a strong thunderstorm impacting portions of northwestern Litchfield, southwestern Berkshire, Ulster, northern Dutchess, Columbia, and southern Greene counties through 8:45. So for another 11 minutes. Now, I've never seen a number like this. It's moving northeast, Joe. They have maybe somebody was typing it up so fast, 135 miles per hour. I think that's a bit.
Oh, get out of here!
That's got to be a mistake.
Get out.
That's got to be a mistake.
Come on.
I mean, the momentum alone would produce 100-mile-an-hour plus winds. I just don't think that that's the case here. Yeah, no, that's got to be an error. He must have either meant 35 miles an hour and just accidentally hit the 1. So, I don't know. I'd look for a correction on that, but that just looks like a little bit much. That's no.
And you were right, Joe. 5 at Central Park, 5:51, 70 degrees. 6:51, 70 degrees. 7:51, 71. The temperature has actually gone up 1 degree.
I bet you if you look at, I wonder if you look at iSlip, that you might see a more dramatic rise.
I will look. Hang on. We interrupt our Diane Belmont to issue this special statement. Come on. This just in. Let's see. So at Islip, it was 55 at 3:56, 54 at 4:56, 53 at 5:56, and 6:56. And yes, it has gone up a full degree now. It has gone back up to 54 at 7:56. Southwest wind at 21, gusting, Joe, at Islip to 35 miles per hour. Overcast, and yes, I would agree, breezy.
Yes, breezy is good. Okay. Here's the second question. In Bewitched, who was the witch doctor who treated Samantha?
It was at Dr. Bombay.
Calling Dr. Bombay. Calling Dr. Bombay. Emergency.
Don't ask me the name of the. Don't ask me the name of the actor.
The actor is the question. Who is the actor? And the actor is Bernard Fox.
Oh.
Bernard. Benard. What TV family lives at 742 Evergreen Terrace?
Oh my God. I don't know. The Bradys.
No, The Simpsons.
The Simpsons?
Yes.
We're still trying to figure out what Springfield they live in. Well, wait a minute. I think they determined a few years ago that it was Springfield, Vermont, where the Simpsons live.
Okay. In 1962, what was the first 90-minute Western series?
There was a series that went more than 90 minutes?
No,
that went 90 minutes?
Went 90
more than
minutes.
60 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I know it wasn't Bonanza, and I know it wasn't Gunsmoke. I don't know. Let me pull one out of the air. There, I got it. Bat Masterson.
No. The Virginian.
The Virginian.
Yes.
And you see how often the Virginian is on television, on syndicated or on cable TV, right?
Right.
Like Me TV runs every Western known to man on Saturdays, but not the Virginian.
Well, 90 minutes is a tough thing to do. I mean, they're either going to have 30 minutes or 60 minutes, but 90 minutes is tough. Who played Siren?
Right.
Who played the Siren on the original Batman TV series?
Oh, Joan Collins.
What cop? That is
Joan Collins.
That is correct. What cop show from 19?
She wore like a mylar or an aluminum foil dress.
Yeah. Lame.
Let me tell you, when you that was what, 1966, 67?
Yeah, roughly.
I was what, only 11 years old?
Mm-hmm.
11 years old, 12 years old. You don't forget something like that when you're 11 or 12 years old.
No, and you don't understand this, and you don't really understand something like that until you're about 17. What cop show?
Exactly.
What cop show from 1968 was the brainchild? I got to get new glasses. Was the brainchild from Aaron Spelling? 1968 cop show, Aaron Spelling.
Oh. I'll take a wild guess, and I know it's wrong because it was much too early. There was a show that had a bunch of cops who just got on the force. They were probationary patrolmen. It was called the Rockies, but I don't think that was it.
It was the Mod Squad.
The Mod Squad.
Yes. Who played the theme song on The Dating Game?
Who played the theme song?
Yeah.
Well, that was something like from Herb Albert, wasn't it?
Yes, and the Tijuana Brass.
Tijuana Brass.
What is the name of the cook on Bonanza?
Oh, Hop Sing.
Right. What was the name of the Ed Sullivan Show when it premiered in 1948?
It was Toasted Bread on the Town.
Toasted on the Town. That is correct. What comedy show was originally called You'll Never Get Rich?
Oh, that was Sergeant Bilko, Phil Silver's show, right?
Yes, the Phil Silver Show. And the bonus question tonight is, which TV show has won the most Emmys? Mary Tyler Moore, All in the Family, MASH, or Saturday Night Live?
Well, is that unfair? Because Saturday Night Live has been on for like 45 years.
I know. It's been on for a million years. So, yeah, exactly.
But then again, it may have been on for that long, but it may not have picked up as many Emmys as a show that had been on for a much shorter period of time. I'm going to say Mary Tyler Moore.
And you would have been right had you said Saturday Night Live with 73 Emmys.
I thought you were trying to throw me a curve, Joe.
Joe, I don't throw you curveballs. I've never thrown you a
No,
curveball ever.
it's the chairman who's throwing me a curveball tonight.
Correct. Exactly.
Ah.
So all right. So that I think about covers it tonight. Yeah, that does cover it. So, tomorrow back at 7:30 Eastern Time. Thank you for those of you who hit super chat tonight. Most appreciated as always. And the chat board behaved well tonight, which is good too. 123 likes, so we got over the 100 mark, which is always a plus. And we'll see how it goes with respect to Wednesday system and for the Saturday system. We'll be, of course, looking at that tomorrow. And who knows where the rest of the week will take us, right, Joe?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows what
evil
lurks in the hearts of men?
men.
The shadow do. Yes.
Yes.
All right, everybody, have a great night. Thanks for being here. We will see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Yes.
Okay.